Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Conversation with Masters. Today I'm in conversation with Ivan, co-founder of Shift Intelligence, and he help founders navigate to transitions, support businesses grow, and applies family and organizational constellation in business world, if I understand right. So, Ivan, welcome.
Thank you very much. Great to be with you.
Please introduce yourself in the way you wish and want.
Well, I'm a kid from Serbia originally. So I moved to the States when I was 16 years old to be with my father and played professional soccer. In my early days, that was my first quest, if you would. And then after my soccer career, I joined family business with my father, uh, which was which was a big change, and I had a very steep learning curve. I did get an engineering degree in college, which supported me to join an aerospace business. But I still had a lot of learning to do, and once I found my way around, I realized that I'm more on the business side rather than the engineering side. That was kind of a natural thing for me, and so I went ahead and I gave myself a challenge to earn my father's trust to be more influential in the business and support the business grow and all of that. And that was not easy. That was a big difficult thing to do. I am more of an idea person, and I've learned since that providing a lot of ideas to founders is probably not the best thing to do. So, much what works much better is respect and gratitude, and from respect and gratitude, you're going to get opportunities to share what your thoughts are. But if you start with your ideas, it's probably not the best, and that's advice for all the second generation up and coming leaders out there. I peed against the wind for way too long, and I learned that lesson hard. But it's served me very well when I work with founders now, because I have that kind of a really strong sense of how to speak with them so that they feel elevated, they feel respected, they feel valued for the incredible value that they add in the world. And it's really, really great. So once I earned enough trust and I started becoming more influential, my father moved back to Europe, and he said, "Great, you're doing great. Just keep going with this." And so I did, and I felt like we were making tremendous progress. We signed a really big contract. We were set for the next 5 years. Everything was beautiful. Moved into a state-of-the-art facility. Everything was amazing in the business. I'm fresh into earning equity in the business, and we're flying high. Everything's going great. And boom, out of nowhere, not because of our mistake, uh, the entire world financial collapse, and we lose 97% of revenue from one month to the next. And, incredible number of businesses in our industry go out of business, go bankrupt, and we are just there in this storm. And I'm thinking, this business has done great for 25 years, but here I take over, and boom,
I make it in the great way.
I completely ruined this. It wasn't even my fault, but it didn't matter. I felt responsible regardless. And I was thinking, my God, my father's livelihood, father's security, everything's gone. Everything's gone, and we're at home, and I wasn't sleeping. I was really, really worried, and somehow we were part of an advisor group that has been through storms like this, and they said, you have to, if you don't do anything, you're gonna go out of business in 2 months. So you have to do something drastic in order to give yourself a chance. And they proceeded to recommend that we let go of 75% of the staff, and that we go into a really deep tank to try to give ourselves a chance. And we map out about a 9-month period, if we go really tight, that we could give ourselves a chance to turn this thing around. So we did. And that was really hard to have those conversations and let our people go. But we said, if we can turn this around, we can bring them back. So we did. And in month 7, we got a little bit of traction, and we were able to survive the downturn. And from there, we started to build back up and eventually built the business very, very strongly. And we have a very unique set of experiences because we were the successor at one point. We had to work with the previous generation to take over the business and earn enough trust. But then I became the bottleneck once we quadrupled the business. Then I became the bottleneck. So I was the one that needed to let go and release and build the leadership and the leadership depth beneath me. So I have both experiences, both from the successor side and the principal side on what that feels like. So we use that a lot with our current work with founders, because that's the tension that we support, the transition from all capable founder that is touching everything, that is ensuring the business is doing great, that is all of that, to transitioning to a capable team and business that can function without them on site, without them in big decisions, without them carrying the weight, ensuring the continuity of the business into the future, regardless of what the founder does. That's ultimately what very few founders achieve, because maybe 80% of founders never actually pass their business on. Once they retire, the business stops. And that's a travesty in our book. We don't All that value, all that history, the decades of work ends. And we would love to prevent that for people in the world. We want, leaders that build their businesses and build so much value in their community. We would love the continuation of that value. The special bakery, that is in town. When the master baker retires, we cannot allow that to go to waste. All that wisdom, all that special sauce that was built in, the value that was brought to that community. So that's part of the reason what drives our work. But once I became the bottleneck, then we had a really big challenge of how do we build a business and what is going on, and am I in the way, and what am I doing that is actually hurting the transition, hurting the transfer? Where am I holding too tight? What is going on? All of those things is lived experience for me. And we just launched a book called Shift Intelligence. And in the book covers exactly that journey of how do you let go of a business without it crumbling? How do you not do it irresponsibly? How do you not do it so that it hurts the business? But at the same time, how do you do it in a way that builds leaders, elevates people, adds value? All of those things that we all want. When we start a business, we want to create a business that gives us freedom and supports people and contributes in the world. But somewhere along the way, we end up getting trapped in that business because it's
Micromanagement, maybe day-to-day micromanagement.
yes,
Wow,
exactly.
huge story, Ivan. You have a very nice start, I tell you, 10 minutes about your story. And it's, wow, fantastic. You turn around all the results. And of course, when the businesses, they suffer so much, the first cut, it's the CapEx, and the biggest CapEx, yes, it's, the employer. So, yeah, there it's nothing to do more. I would like to ask you, in business growth, it's more psychological or structural approach do you have?
Well, business is only going to grow as much as the leader grows. And if the leader doesn't grow, if the leader's energy field, the leader's point of view, the leader's perspective doesn't open to that growth, even if the growth happens, they usually will sabotage it, or they will usually slow it down, because if it doesn't fit their internal picture, they will make it fit. And so that is a critical thing. That's why we work with founders as the entrance point to organizational work, because without the founder's permission, without the founder's authorization, without the founder's blessing, all the organizational work that we do is probably for nothing, because it has no place. It doesn't have the fertile ground. It doesn't have the wind in its back, if you would. So rather than do a bunch of strategies for the business, our entrance point is always with the founder. And we go at the founder space because if we get ahead of the founder too much, we are actually a threat. So rather than be a threat, we slow down the process so that we are going along with the founder space and maybe slight one step ahead with the optionality of does he want to take it? And there is our way. Once, these are highly capable people. There's a reason they're the founder. There's a reason they are the owner. There's a reason why this thing exists, and it's because of them. So showing a proper respect to them and going at their pace, because this is their creation. We cannot meddle. So with their creation, with their blessing, at their pace, we support then the next steps. And many times it's not strategic, although we do strategy with them. Many times it's more of the inner world of the founder as the biggest obstacle. And founders have tremendous drive, and that drive can come from trauma. It could come from early childhood experiences. It could come from, wanting to prove yourself, wanting to show everyone, there could be lots of different reasons why the founders are where they are. And because of that, we get into a lot of that inner world systemic work as the key node of the system, the founder's energy, the founder's history, the founder's origins, the origins of the business. All of those things come into play. And that is our point of view from experience, because it comes all the way back to my father, because
To your story.
I learned so much. It got drilled into me that no, we're not going to do that. We're not going to do that. We're not going to go that way. We don't want to, what do you know? Shut up, get over there. Don't tell me what to do. All of those things for several years until I finally learned that no, this has got to be done at his pace and with his blessing. And I got to be the champion of his way first. I got to champion his way to earn enough trust so that maybe we can add a couple of wrinkles that may enable the business to go further. So that's where it comes from, and that's our point of view, and it's working very, very well because it's really organic. It's not something we come in and we are, I don't know, we're going to fundamentally change everything. No, that's not how it works. There's already success there. What is the success DNA of this business? We must get in touch with the essence of that success DNA. What is already creating success, and how can we allow it to flourish even more? That's our task, and that's how we approach it, and that's been getting really, really great results.
So, Ivan, how do you apply and how you discover family constellation and, of course, organizational constellation and businesses?
Well, at the moment, really, the way we do it is we don't talk a lot about it. We don't talk a lot about it. Many of our clients are non-systemic. They're not systemic people. They're not systemically trained. They don't have that lens. We don't. Our first task is similar to what we've done with my father originally. Is our job is to earn enough trust to be heard. And first step is earn enough trust. That is respect. That is elevating, seeing their point of view, working on the success DNA, figuring out what is the recipe of success that is already working, and through that, earning enough trust that we see them, we feel them, we know what they're about. We're going to be at their pace. We're going to be at their standard. What is the standard they want to uphold? How do we get that standard that they already have into the organization more, not so they're not the only carrier, so they're not the only one making sure that, oh, we got to do it that way, that they don't have to continue to insert their energy in order for the standard to go on. How do we get all of those things and pass it on to the organization? And so we do a lot of that work seamlessly. We ask about the origins, we use questions, we expand the systemic view for them without telling them, oh, this is a systemic view. We just do the work without actually talking about it at all. And as we go further and further, we have clients that have been working with for 3 and 4 years now that have quadrupled the business and doing amazing. As we earn more trust and as they open more and they see the results and they see how it's working and they see the conversations and questions we're asking, then they start asking, well, what is that from? Where are you getting this? What is going on? So at some point through the relationship, we start opening up more of what it is about. And that's how we go even deeper with the work. But initially, we don't talk about it at all.
Magic happens always.
That's
So
right.
I would like to ask you about, do founders recreate maybe family system inside their business? Have you seen that?
Yes, many times their original patterns from their family of origin, maybe they were a parentified child, maybe there was not enough structure in the family and they were the little one feeling unsafe, not seeing enough protection, that they would step up and create some of that they would be the one to watch out over their parents, that would watch out over lots of situations children find themselves in that are not the best. So children adapt, and from that adaptation, sometimes those patterns are so strong they bring the same patterns over to the business. So, for the parentified child that is ensuring safety, uh, someone like that is going to have a particularly hard time of letting go when it's time, when they've built the business beyond their nervous system, meaning there's 150 customers and I cannot sign every contract and I cannot deliver the service to every customer. So I have to trust a couple of people, but I don't, because I couldn't trust my parents back then. I couldn't trust anyone. I was the one to make the safety. And so for that kind of founder, it's particularly difficult to start to trust, to build enough of that, to actually maybe go back in time and revisit some of those patterns, realize where they came from, realize that now they're big, now they're adult, now they're the owner, now they have options, now they could do it differently. All of those things are in play. And some other founders may be in a triangulation pattern where they are there was maybe fighting between mom and dad, and then they came in the middle, keep the peace, protect everyone, mitigate, mediate, resolve conflict. There could be those kinds of founders, and they are a bit easier because they know kind of both sides and they play the lay of the land, and they're typically easier to navigate the transition. But that's also a pattern that can trap them. So when you're doing the mediation and mitigation, you don't see yourself as much because you are always looking out. So your needs are the last, and you never take care of your needs. And so when the business is growing and a lot of mediation needs to be done, that, weighing, connecting, doing a, they could 20, 30, 40 years later, they could realize, but what about me? What do I want? What is going on here? What do I want in this business? What do I want for my life? What does my family need besides all these big energies that I'm dealing with and building this huge business? So that also could be detrimental, and all kinds of different identifications that could happen throughout someone's life. Have people identify with the hard worker, identify with the strong one, identify with the one that carries everything. Incredible number of different patterns that could be there that are contributing exactly to the way they lead, exactly to the way they run their business, the way they set up their business, the way they embed their business in their community and market. So illuminating the reasons why and providing options is what we do, but we do it very, very gently, very slowly, very slowly, and helping the transitions into from the pattern to the something intentional, something that they actually are thinking through, something conscious,
Awareness.
something that is not automatic, something that is actually designed. And so we help them design their business in the way that will actually provide the life that they want and would provide a great healthy environment for their people and provide a great more connected family in their private life and ensure that all of this can go on beyond me. And that's the work that we do.
That's powerful. And what shifts when a founder see their business as a system?
What shifts for them?
What shifts for them?
Well, they
After some
start.
session, of course, because it's not for the first session, I guess.
Yes. So they start realizing that one of the first things that we do is we illuminate the fact that many times the founder's energy and the business energy is fused, meaning that I am the business and the business is me. They're identified. There is no separation between who I am and who the business is. It's literally, it's the identification is so strong that any threat to the business is threat to their existence. Any fluctuation in the business is a fluctuation in their nervous system. Any crisis that is happening in the business is a crisis in their nervous system, literally. They feel it in the body like it's happening to them. And so one of the first systemic interventions that we do is a healthy separation. This business could be, 200, 300, 500,000 employees, very large system, lots of energy, but the founder may still identify with it as when he was founded and it was smaller and then he was very influential. And now that it's big, that it can fry somebody's nervous system if they don't create enough separation, because there's too much energy going through one nervous system. There's only a finite amount of electricity that can go through a person. And because of that, one of the first things that we do is we create a healthy separation between the entity that is me as a human being. Here's me, the founder. I'm a human. I gotta realize the humility of I am human. Although I'm larger than life, there's a legend of me building the amazing
I'm a
business.
soul, right?
Yes, there could be a lot of people depending on me and all of this, but I'm still human. I'm still under the same impermanence law. I age. I'm human. I must face my humanness, and over here is the business, and that business is a different animal. It's not like me. It's got way more complexity. That's a questionable thing, because we as humans, we have a lot of complexity also.
I guess so. So, Ivan, I want to ask you if it's some difference from organizational constellation consulting to classic consulting, business consulting. What do you think?
Yes, there's a lots of difference. Consulting, more traditional consulting can feel pretty mechanical. It can be clinical. It can be very, you add these inputs and you get these outputs. And it's more
Linear thinking, right?
mechanistic. It could be, there could be deeper consulting, absolutely. There could be, different cause and effect relationships, and there could be lots of different tracking and analysis and all of these things. But the systemic view provides you a picture of how businesses are living systems. So we are leaning in on more of the mystery of life, if you would. Okay, how does life form? What happens between the sperm and the egg? And when you add this and mystery happens, the magic happens, and new life is formed. And how do we sustain that life? And what do we, where is life in the system? And what it allows for more of the unknown, the unexpected. It allows for more not holding the business so tightly, meaning that we're going to make this happen, but rather co-creating with life, aligning yourself with the nature of how things develop and grow and progress and live and last and go on and all of these things. What gives it energy and regenerate and all of these things, that is a lot of deeper lens than normal consulting. They don't think about that. It's more mechanistic and more machine-like. There's all these metaphors of how do we get this machine optimized? This business is, how do we put in these automations and and those things have a place.
We don't need to control and force to have some results, and just leave the space and be more aware about what we build in that specific business.
But just a second, the results thing that you just mentioned. We are very much aligned with results. We are very much in how do we create the conditions, the most optimal living conditions, the most optimal collaborative environment. What is cancer? Cancer is cells that have gone rogue and cells that are interested more in themselves than the whole organism. And so what we want to do is how do we build systems that are collaborative, concerned about the whole, and so that maybe the marketing or the sales department doesn't dominate the business into the fact that we're going to grow so much and we end up going out of business. More businesses go bankrupt from too much growth than from stagnation. And that is because certain parts of the business are not in harmony with the others. And so how do we create the optimal environment and optimal conditions for life to thrive and flourish as a whole? And we want the business to succeed as a whole. We want the business to succeed and be a great contribution to everyone, the founder, the employees, the leaders, the staff, the everyone, and the customers, and the market, and the community. And the only way that happens if we're aligned with nature. If we're aligned with nature, we will achieve the best results with the least amount of effort, because we're not going against the natural flow of how things happen. We can just get aligned with that, and then support that, and then results maximize with a lot less effort.
So, Ivan, if the listener they would like to come in contact with you, what is the best channel for you?
You can find us on LinkedIn. We're very active on LinkedIn. That's one channel. Another channel is through our website, shiftintelligence.co. If some people would like to learn more about how we did it and the stories from the trench and the difficult times and the major turning points in our journey, they can find our book on Amazon. It's called Shift Intelligence. Those are some ways that they can find us. There is a contact form on our website. So if you are thinking there's got to be a better way than how I'm doing this, maybe you're working like me back in the day, 18 hours a day. Maybe you're pushing really hard because you can see the potential, you can see the thing, but maybe you're feeling like, oh my God, but why am I the one that is so crazy, that will be so committed to do this? And am I contributing to inviting more people in here, or am I trying to be the hero and push this thing all by myself? That was my case. And being the hero isn't long-term sustainable. So you can be the hero here and there, but if you're a hero every day, it's probably not very difficult task. It's going to cost you a lot. We say that founder dependence is the most expensive, most difficult problem in business, because it costs you in your health, costs you in your family, costs you in your life, costs you in your business because you can't grow as much because you're the only one. costs you in your valuation, costs you in your retirement, in your next level, and costs you, actually traps you. Your creation ends up being a trap, a prison you can't get out of, because if you get out, the whole thing collapses. So we say that it's the most difficult and most challenging problem in business, and we have dedicated ourselves to support as many founders and leaders and organizations to align with the natural best growth way for them and for their business and for their families and their community. And we'd love to have a conversation if this is where you find yourself and you'd love to go in this direction.
So, after all these years of experience, right? Who benefits the most of this work? Founders, teams, or maybe investors?
I think primarily the founders are the first that must allow for more life. When they allow for more life for them, then they extend more life to their people and their communities. But first, they must allow it for them. And that's usually transitioning out of some patterns where they're stuck and they're trapped in some kind of structure, either inner world structure or maybe a market structure or some kind of structure where they're trapped. They must allow for more life in it. They must let the cracks and the light and life come through the cracks to them. Allow more life to them. And when they do, they become the catalyst for allowing it in the entire system. And then everyone benefits. I wouldn't say anyone benefits more than others. I think life benefits everyone that allows it.
Yeah. So will be maybe win-win situation for everyone, I guess. Now I would like to ask you about leadership a little bit. Of course, when we speak about teams and businesses, we look to that too in some way. So what does mature leadership mean to you?
Well, mature leadership means that you have a proper respect for life, you have proper respect for nature, you have proper respect for the natural laws and natural you have a proper respect for all of those things that actually make businesses go. You don't see yourself as the oversized influencer, but you're able to align with nature, you're able to align with how things optimally grow. If you would be like a great farmer or a gardener of business, where
Right.
yes, you would be absolutely having the ability, the view, the awareness. You would have a wise view that the Buddhists talk about. You have the wise view, wise path, wise action, wise intention, wise livelihood, and all of that is inside of eight, the noble path that they talk about in Buddhism. So that would be the difference between mature leadership and other forms of leadership. But the other forms of leadership are probably you don't wake up just being a wise leader. That is not the more mistakes you make, the more wisdom you can gain. So we are all the effect of our mistakes if we learn from them.
Right. Now in these days, many young generation, they are founders too, right? So they drive maybe, I don't know, very successful companies. So what do you think, or what is the your view in these days? Are young generations open to systemic work?
I think the younger generations are more open to systemic work than ever because there's a little bit of disillusionment with how the previous generations have done things, and there is more of awareness that the way we're going is not good, and there's more awareness of we must change And because of that, people are looking for ways to change the models of change, or how do we change, or how do I do this so that I don't end up like my dad, or how do we do this so that we don't pollute, or how do we do this so that we don't. I mean, this is not everyone, but as a whole, the millennial generation and the Generation Z, they are more collective minded. They are more purpose driven. They are thinking more, why are we even doing this? They can afford to ask existential purpose driven questions because we live in the most abundant life. Most, no, rarely people are thinking about what am I going to eat. Although there are places in the world, unfortunately, where that's a problem. But overall, we're not thinking about what we're going to eat. We're thinking about what's up with this? Why is this? Can I do it differently, better? Is this optimal? So they are benefiting from all the abundance that has been created, but the way that abundance is created, they are not in alignment with. So I think I love their purpose driven questions. The only thing that I would caution them is not to make what has come before wrong, because when they make it wrong, they are deleting what is creating the potential and the conditions for them to ask the deeper questions. So they must have proper respect of what created the conditions for them to be able to think about purpose. And with that respect, they're going to be a lot more influential agents than if they don't have the respect and they are just trying to change things. The ones that want to change things without respect, those are the ones that pay a heavy price and don't make a lot of progress. So proper respect for what has come before, what has created the opportunity for me to do it differently, will be more in alignment with life and create.
From your election, you know that very well, right?
Yes, I paid a heavy price, so I'd love to prevent that from other people.
So, for what I see, Ivan, you are a leader of your life, and that's fantastic. And I would like to ask you, what are you currently learning as a leader?
I think right now is, how do I lean even more into life? How do I listen even more to life? How do I listen to what is my place? What is my deeper place? What is my deeper contribution? How do I orient, and how do I'm entering maybe I'd like to think a third quarter of my life, but that's questionable. We never know. We don't have the clock. We don't have control on that. But I'd like to think it's the third quarter. So in the third quarter, we got to start thinking about, what's the score and what are we doing, and where are we putting our energy in, and how do we not misapply or misplace our energy? How do we contribute to the things we care about the most? What are those things for me? And where do I focus my energy so that in the fourth quarter I can look back and say, "Oh, that was great application. That was the right focus, right learning." I'm deepening my connection. I'm spending a lot more time in quiet time so that I can hear more of those signals. I can get in touch with that essence of where is my deeper place and where do I apply my energy. So those are the things that I'm deepening.
Wow. Yes, it's very nice. You practice listening. I do that too. And what can I tell you? I start always for the point. I know I don't know. I know already what I know, but I must listen what you know. Like this, maybe I learn something new. So I'm very happy you take your time, Ivan, to be here to share your point of view.
I'm very, very glad to have been with you. You set up a great container, and you ask great questions, and it was a pleasure and honor to be with you.
My name is Marius, and thank you for listening.